Hey players. So Brooklyn Sims was 18 years old. She was a mother of a 2-year-old. And she was murdered because her baby's father tested positive for gonorrhea. And his mother encouraged him via text message to murder her granddaughter's mother. Y'all grab y'all tea. Have a seat. Let's get into this. So back in August, 21-year-old Keith Agee tests positive for gonorrhea, which is a curable STD. He then assumed that his 2-year-old daughter's mother, Brooklyn Sims, gave it to him. So he decides that he's going to murder her. Now, it's very important to note here that he testified during trial that he had been intimate with other people a couple of months prior to him being intimate with Brooklyn, but he automatically assumed that it was her that gave him the STD, and that drove him to want to murder her. He texted his mother, Sheila, letting her know of his intentions. She actually worked at the Home Depot with Brooklyn, gave the location of Brooklyn, and encouraged him to come up there and take out her granddaughter's mother. In the text messages, Sheila tells her son the location of the Home Depot where they were working at in Pensacola, Florida. She tells him to make sure he doesn't shoot her when he's trying to shoot Brooklyn. She also tells him that if he doesn't do it, that he is a bitch. She also tells him not to call anybody else because they will tell him not to do it. So Keith proceeds to get in his vehicle, drive an hour and a half to the Home Depot in Pensacola, where he confronts Brooklyn on aisle 52. According to witnesses that testified during the trial, they could hear him say to Brooklyn, "You gave me something." According to them, Brooklyn turned around and said, "Not this again." And then that's when he pulled out his weapon and shot her in the Home Depot. Because the store was open, people were running. They thought that there was an active shooter situation. It was terrible. Keith testified during the trial that he was so angry, he was filled with rage that she had given him something that he had never had before, which is the STD that, I'm going to remind you, is curable. He was ultimately arrested. He confessed on the body camera footage. He said that he was regretful. He did the worst thing in his life, but it was over. He had already murdered his 2-year-old daughter's mother, Brooklyn. Now, during the investigation, of course, those text messages between Keith and his mother come out, and they ultimately arrest her as well on murder charges. So after all of the evidence was presented, the text messages of his premeditation, also his confession, he was ultimately found guilty after the jury deliberated for just 3 hours. They found him guilty of first-degree premeditated murder and also found him guilty of one of the 2 counts of aggravated battery for injuring an employee during the shooting. After the victim impact statements, Keith got up there and apologized to the family, said he thinks about Brooklyn and his daughter every day. He made the worst mistake of his life, yada, yada, yada. The prosecution needed to clear Brooklyn's name and also let Keith know, you absolutely did this for no reason. Because guess what? Brooklyn didn't even have gonorrhea. Just a few days prior to her murder, she tested negative for all STDs. I declare, honey, saddest thing I ever heard. I remember Keith testified that he had been active with other people a couple of months prior to being active with Brooklyn. So ultimately, he received that STD from one of those people that he had been active with. Keith was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His mother will, next court date is in February. I'm hoping that they throw the book at her. What mother you know is going to encourage their child to commit such an act? It's absolutely disgusting. Players, put your thoughts in the comments. This is Double D Mother. Of course, here at the Black Accurate News, I'm sending my condolences out to the family of Brooklyn Sims. Also, all my love to her 2-year-old daughter. So very sad. Put your thoughts in the comments. This is Double D Mother reporting for the Black Accurate News.